My name is Blake, and here on this channel, we upload videos every day to help you improve your English listening, speaking, and vocabulary. Whether you are learning for work, travel, or daily conversations, this podcast is designed to give you real-life English practice at an advanced level. Today, we will talk about family, friends, and work, sharing stories and examples that you can relate to and learn from. Hi, I am Blake. Today, I want to tell you a story about my friend James. James recently started a new job at a tech company. On his first day, he felt a bit nervous because everyone seemed so professional, but he remembered what his father always told him. Confidence comes from preparation and kindness. So, James introduced himself to his coworkers and asked thoughtful questions about the projects. By the end of the week, he had already made a few friends and even got praised by his manager for being proactive. Speaking of friends, let me tell you about Sophia. Sophia invited me to her home for a small weekend gathering. Her husband, Mark, was preparing dinner while she was arranging the living room. They live in a beautiful apartment, and their attention to detail is amazing. We spent the evening talking about our childhood memories, favorite books, and experiences at work. One interesting thing Sophia said was how maintaining friendships requires effort, just like any relationship. She emphasized that listening carefully and showing genuine interest is key. Now, let's talk about family. My Uncle Robert recently retired, and he told me about his experience balancing work and family life. He said that when he was younger, he often worked late hours, and it affected his time with his wife and children. He wished he had set boundaries earlier. After retiring, he now spends mornings walking in the park with his wife and afternoons helping his grandchildren with schoolwork. He mentioned that these simple moments create lasting memories, and they teach you more about life than any job ever can. At work, communication is very important. I remember a conversation with Elena, a project manager. She told me that in her company, teamwork is not just about sharing tasks, but about understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses. She said that giving feedback politely and asking questions when unsure can prevent misunderstandings. One day, her team faced a tight deadline, but because they trusted each other and shared responsibilities, they finished the project on time. This experience reminded me how much good communication and collaboration matter in professional life. Let's also discuss balancing social life with work. My friend Daniel is an accountant, and he often works long hours. Yet, he ensures that weekends are reserved for family time. He and his wife Emma plan small trips to nearby towns or enjoy cooking together at home. Daniel believes that work should support life, not replace it. Listening to his story makes me think about how important it is to prioritize relationships while managing professional responsibilities. I also want to share a personal story. Last month, I organized a small dinner for my family and friends. My wife, Laura, helped me set up everything perfectly. We invited Michael, a close friend, and his wife, Anna. During dinner, we shared stories about our jobs, funny incidents from childhood, and future plans. At one point, Michael talked about how he learned to deal with stress at work by talking openly with his wife and friends. That conversation inspired all of us to communicate more honestly and cherish the time we spend together. Family and friends also teach you important lessons about empathy. My cousin Helen works in healthcare. She said that working with patients requires patience and understanding. She often talks with her husband Tom about her day, and they both reflect on how small gestures of kindness can make a big difference. Helen believes that empathy at work helps her connect better with colleagues and patients, and it also strengthens her relationship with her family. Social gatherings can also improve language skills. I remember attending a weekend workshop with my colleague Peter. We had group discussions about current events, and I noticed how practicing English in real-life settings makes you more confident. Peter told me that discussing topics with friends and family in English, even casually, helps him improve vocabulary and fluency. He also emphasized listening carefully to others before responding, which is a very advanced communication skill. At the end of the day, whether it's family, friends, or work, communication, patience, and empathy are essential. My friend Laura shared that even small gestures, like asking about someone's day or helping with tasks at home, can strengthen relationships. She and her husband David practice this daily, and it has made their bond stronger. Listening to stories like these teaches us how life lessons can improve our English conversations and make us better communicators in every aspect of life. Blake here again. Remember, every day you listen, you get a little better. By hearing real stories and examples about family, friends, and work, you are not just improving English. You are learning how to communicate more effectively in real life. Speaking of family, let me tell you about Rebecca. She recently moved to a new city for her husband Daniel's job. At first, she felt lonely because she didn't know anyone, but she decided to join a local book club and a fitness class. Through these activities, she met new friends and also practiced her English daily. Rebecca shared that making new friends in a new city requires courage, patience, and genuine interest in others. Her story reminds us that relationships, whether personal or professional, thrive when we invest time and care into them. At work, challenges often come unexpectedly. My friend Thomas works in marketing. He shared a story about a client who suddenly changed all project requirements the night before the final submission. Initially, Thomas felt stressed, but he immediately called his team, divided tasks, and communicated clearly with the client. The result? The project was submitted on time, and the client was impressed. Thomas said that his wife, Megan, had taught him a valuable lesson. Staying calm and organized in stressful situations is not only good for work, but also sets a positive example for everyone around you. Now, let me talk about friendships. I have a friend named Jessica, who recently helped her friend Erin through a difficult time at work. Erin was struggling with a big project and felt discouraged. Jessica listened patiently, offered advice, and encouraged him to break the project into smaller tasks. She also suggested he speak openly with his manager to clarify expectations. Jessica believes that supporting friends in their challenges strengthens bonds and improves mutual trust. Her example shows how empathy and communication are essential in friendships and everyday life. Family celebrations are another great way to practice English. Last month, I attended my cousin Daniela's anniversary party. Her husband Philip planned a small, intimate dinner. Guests shared stories about family traditions, work experiences, and future goals. One interesting discussion was about how cultural differences influence work habits and communication. By listening to others and joining the conversation, I realized that real-life conversations are a perfect way to improve vocabulary, comprehension, and speaking confidence. Sometimes, learning English goes hand in hand with understanding emotions and relationships. My friend Nathan shared a story about how he apologized to his wife Clara after a small misunderstanding. He explained that choosing the right words and tone can make a huge difference. Nathan said that practicing such conversations in English not only improves language skills, but also builds better relationships, because communication becomes clearer and more respectful. At work, teamwork often mirrors family dynamics. My colleague Olivia shared a story about her team in a consultancy firm. During a complex project, her team members faced disagreements on how to approach solutions. Olivia suggested a brainstorming session where everyone shared their ideas without judgment. The discussion helped them understand each other's perspectives, and they completed the project successfully. Olivia told me that observing how families resolve conflicts can teach you valuable lessons about handling disagreements at work. Friendship and family advice also cross over into work-life balance. Samuel, a close friend, said that he learned the importance of boundaries from his wife, Hannah. Samuel often worked late, but Hannah encouraged him to reserve evenings for family. Over time, Samuel noticed he was more focused during work hours and felt happier at home. He shared that clear communication and respecting boundaries can improve both personal happiness and professional performance. Blake here again. One more story I want to share is about Emma and her husband, Lucas. Emma recently started her own business, and Lucas supported her fully. They discussed plans every week, divided responsibilities, and celebrated small achievements together. Emma said that having someone to share ideas and challenges with makes any professional journey easier. Listening to their story reminds us that support systems, whether family or close friends, are essential in all areas of life. I want to start by talking about my friend Henry. Henry is an architect, and his work requires both creativity and precision. Recently, he shared a story about a major project that he and his team were working on. They had to design a community center within a very short deadline. Henry told me that what helped him most was maintaining clear communication with his team and also asking his wife, Sophia, for advice on presenting ideas clearly. She has a talent for explaining complex concepts simply. That evening, after discussing his presentation with her, Henry felt more confident and delivered it successfully. This story shows how support from family, even in small ways, can have a big impact on professional life. I also want to share about Clara, my colleague from an earlier job. Clara's team faced a challenge when a client unexpectedly changed the project requirements just a few days before submission. She decided to schedule a team meeting to reassign tasks and ensure everyone understood the new priorities. After the meeting, her husband, Mark, advised her to stay calm and take breaks when needed, even during a busy week. Clara followed his advice and found that it helped her maintain focus and energy. By the end of the week, the project was not only finished on time, but also received praise for creativity. This example demonstrates how strategies from personal life, like advice from a spouse, can directly improve professional performance. Next, I want to talk about Rachel, who recently hosted a small family gathering. Rachel and her husband, David, planned a dinner for close friends and relatives. During the gathering, people shared stories about challenges at work, lessons learned from mistakes, and memorable experiences with family. One conversation that stood out was about how balancing responsibilities at home and work can be challenging, but planning and honesty make a difference. Rachel emphasized that actively listening to family members and friends improves relationships and helps you understand different perspectives, which is a skill that also applies at work. Speaking of friends, let me tell you about Adam. Adam is an engineer, and his work often involves solving complex problems under tight deadlines. He told me about a recent project where he had to collaborate with international teams. Initially, Adam struggled to communicate effectively because of differences in working styles. His wife, Lily, encouraged him to take notes during meetings and repeat instructions to ensure clarity. Adam followed her advice and noticed a huge improvement in team collaboration. He also realized that practicing English regularly with friends and family helps in expressing ideas more clearly, which is especially important in professional settings. Now, let's talk about a story from Nina. Nina works in education, teaching young children, which requires patience and creativity. She shared a recent experience where she had to help a child who was struggling with reading. Nina's husband, Daniel, suggested a simple method of turning reading practice into a game. By using this approach, the child became more interested and improved quickly. Nina told me that her experience reinforced a lesson. Creativity and problem solving can be applied both at work and in personal relationships, supporting each other with ideas, whether in a family or workplace, makes challenges easier to handle. Another example comes from my friend Oliver, who works in finance. Oliver shared that he often has to give presentations to clients. At first, he felt nervous and struggled to speak confidently. His wife, Emily, suggested he practice speaking in front of her, focusing on clear pronunciation and tone. By practicing daily, Oliver gained confidence and started using more advanced vocabulary naturally. He said that role-playing conversations with someone you trust, like a spouse or a close friend, is one of the most effective ways to improve advanced listening and speaking skills in English. Family support is also essential when handling unexpected events. My friend Sophia told me about a situation at her work where a sudden change required immediate adjustments in her team's schedule. She was worried at first, but her husband, James, reminded her to prioritize tasks and ask for help when needed. Sophia followed his advice, reorganized her team's workflow, and completed the project without stress. She reflected that life lessons from family, like asking for help and organizing tasks, are just as important in professional life as technical skills. I also remember a story from Lucas, who works in a marketing company. He recently coordinated a campaign involving multiple teams. During the project, disagreements arose about the creative direction. Lucas applied a strategy he often uses at home, listening first, acknowledging opinions, and then suggesting solutions. By doing this, the teams reached a compromise quickly. Lucas explained that learning to listen and respond carefully in personal relationships, like marriage, strengthens your ability to handle conflicts professionally as well. Let me share another story about Hannah, who works in customer service. She told me that handling complaints at work requires patience and careful communication. One day, a client was upset about a mistake in their order. Hannah calmly listened, apologized sincerely, and offered a solution. Later, she told her husband, Nathan, about the experience. He encouraged her to reflect on how empathy and understanding could be applied both at home and at work. Hannah realized that observing and practicing good communication with family or friends improves emotional intelligence and helps in professional life. Now, here's a story from Michael, who works in logistics. Michael often faces time-sensitive tasks and has to coordinate with multiple teams. He told me that he learned a valuable lesson from his wife, Clara. She advised him to break large tasks into smaller steps and celebrate small achievements along the way. Michael implemented this strategy, and it significantly reduced his stress. He also noticed that discussing challenges with his spouse often brings new ideas and solutions he might not have considered alone. This demonstrates how family interactions can directly influence problem-solving skills in work environments. Friendship also plays a role in improving communication skills. I remember my friend Anna, who recently helped a colleague, Peter, prepare for a public presentation. Peter was nervous about speaking in front of a large audience. Anna suggested they practice together daily, simulating questions that could be asked. After a week, Peter delivered his presentation confidently. Anna said that actively practicing conversations and listening carefully to feedback in a supportive setting, like with a friend or spouse, makes English communication more natural and fluent. I also want to tell you about Emma, a teacher who shared her experience of balancing family life and career development. Emma recently decided to enroll in an advanced training program while taking care of her children. She explained to her husband, Lucas, how important this opportunity was for her growth. Lucas supported her by adjusting his schedule to help with the children. Emma said that mutual support, understanding, and clear communication at home allowed her to focus fully on professional development, showing how personal relationships and career growth are interconnected. My friend Daniel, who works as a software developer, also shared a story about time management. He often struggled to complete coding projects while spending quality time with his wife, Sophia. They decided to plan weekly schedules together, balancing work tasks, personal commitments, and leisure activities. Daniel said that this planning not only reduced stress, but also strengthened their relationship. He realized that skills like scheduling, prioritizing, and delegating, often practiced in family life, are directly useful in professional environments. Another story comes from Olivia, who works in a research organization. She recently collaborated on an international study requiring daily coordination with multiple teams. Olivia often found herself overwhelmed by emails and meetings. Her husband, Henry, advised her to categorize tasks by priority and dedicate focused time for each. Olivia followed this approach, which improved her efficiency and reduced anxiety. She explained that lessons learned in family life, such as prioritization and focus, are essential for handling complex professional tasks effectively. Friendship also provides a valuable space for reflection. Nathan shared a story about discussing work challenges with his close friend, Laura. Nathan was frustrated by a project delay and uncertain about how to address it with his team. Laura encouraged him to explain the situation calmly, propose solutions, and listen to feedback. By practicing this approach in conversations with friends, Nathan felt more confident addressing similar situations at work. He realized that listening skills, patience, and structured responses, often developed in personal interactions, are crucial for professional success. Family advice often inspires solutions at work. Rebecca, a graphic designer, faced difficulty explaining complex design concepts to her client. She remembered how her husband, Michael, uses visual examples and simple language to explain ideas at home. She applied the same strategy in her client presentation, and it worked perfectly. Rebecca explained that translating strategies from family communication to professional situations helps in clear and effective communication. I want to start by sharing a story about Ethan, a project manager in a large engineering firm. Ethan was leading a team on a project that required coordination with several departments across the city. Initially, he felt overwhelmed because each department had different priorities. He remembered advice from his wife, Claire, who suggested that he start by making a simple checklist of responsibilities for each team. Ethan implemented this plan, and over the next few days, he noticed that communication became clearer and the project progressed smoothly. This experience showed him that solutions from personal life can often apply directly to professional challenges. Next, let me tell you about Samantha, a marketing specialist. Samantha recently encountered a situation where her team had to redesign an important campaign at the last minute due to unexpected client feedback. She was unsure how to motivate her team under pressure. That evening, she spoke with her husband, Lucas, about her concerns. Lucas suggested breaking the task into smaller goals and rewarding progress along the way. Samantha followed this approach, and the team not only met the deadline, but also created a creative campaign that the client loved. Her story highlights how advice from family can enhance leadership and team motivation skills. Speaking of teamwork, my friend Oliver, who works in logistics, shared a story about coordinating a delivery schedule with multiple warehouses. The task was complicated because each warehouse had different operating hours. Oliver used a method he learned at home from his wife, Sophia, writing down each step clearly and checking progress frequently. This approach reduced confusion and allowed the team to complete the schedule on time. Oliver said that the discipline and planning habits he practices in family life help him manage large projects efficiently at work. I also want to share a story about Hannah, who is a nurse. Hannah often faces stressful situations at work. One day, a patient required urgent attention and she had to act quickly. After the shift, she discussed the event with her husband, Daniel, who helped her reflect on what went well and what could be improved. This reflection helped her stay calm and make better decisions in future emergencies. Hannah said that discussing experiences with someone you trust, like a spouse, builds confidence and improves problem-solving skills. Friendship can also play a crucial role in professional development. My friend Jason shared a story about preparing for a major client presentation. He practiced his speech with his close friend, Laura, who gave constructive feedback on clarity and tone. Jason said that having someone review your communication not only improves English fluency, but also boosts confidence when speaking in front of larger audiences. Practicing with friends or family turns challenging tasks into opportunities to learn and improve. Let me tell you about Rebecca, a teacher who wanted to improve her classroom management skills. She noticed that some students were distracted during lessons, and she struggled to maintain focus in the classroom. One evening, she spoke with her husband, Mark, about potential strategies. He suggested using clear instructions and giving students small goals to achieve during lessons. Rebecca applied this method the next day and saw immediate results. She realized that clear, structured communication learned at home can be very effective in professional situations as well. Now, I want to talk about Michael, a software developer. Michael recently faced a challenging situation where his code had unexpected errors just hours before a deadline. He felt stressed but remembered a strategy his wife, Emily, often uses: taking a short break, reviewing the task calmly, and identifying solutions step by step. Michael applied this approach and successfully corrected the errors on time. He mentioned that problem-solving strategies learned in family life, like staying calm and focused, are essential when facing high-pressure situations at work. Let's move to another story about Clara, who works in human resources. Clara was tasked with resolving a conflict between two team members who disagreed on project responsibilities. Clara decided to apply techniques she uses at home with her husband, David, listening without interruption, acknowledging each perspective, and then proposing a fair solution. The conflict was resolved quickly, and both employees appreciated the approach. Clara realized that lessons learned from managing family conversations can be extremely useful in professional conflict resolution. Friendship also teaches important skills. My friend Sophia told me about helping her friend Nathan navigate a difficult negotiation at work. Nathan was unsure how to discuss a sensitive topic with his manager. Sophia suggested he prepare key points, stay calm, and listen actively during the conversation. Nathan followed the advice and achieved a positive outcome. Sophia said that practicing negotiation and discussion skills with friends allows you to approach real-life challenges more confidently and professionally. I also want to share a story about Thomas, who works in event planning. He recently organized a large conference and faced several unexpected challenges, including last-minute changes from speakers and venue limitations. Thomas consulted his wife, Lily, who suggested creating a flexible backup plan and assigning specific roles to team members. Using this strategy, Thomas managed the event smoothly. He reflected that strategies learned in personal life, like flexibility and preparation, are critical when managing professional tasks. Let me tell you about Daniel, who works in sales. Daniel often meets with clients to discuss contracts and proposals. He shared a story about a time when a client seemed uninterested during a negotiation. Daniel remembered advice from his wife, Clara, who told him to ask questions, listen carefully, and respond with empathy. Applying this strategy, Daniel was able to understand the client's needs better and close the deal successfully. Daniel emphasized that empathy, learned and practiced in personal relationships, is a powerful tool for professional communication. Another story comes from Emma, who is a project coordinator. Emma often manages multiple tasks simultaneously. Recently, her workload increased significantly, and she struggled to stay organized. She spoke with her husband, Lucas, who suggested prioritizing tasks and creating a visual schedule to track progress. Emma applied this method and noticed that her efficiency improved greatly. She realized that organization skills practiced at home with family can directly impact professional productivity and reduce stress. Friendship and support go hand in hand with personal development. My friend Laura shared a story about assisting her friend Peter with improving presentation skills. Peter was anxious about public speaking. Laura suggested practicing daily, recording the speech, and reviewing improvements. Peter's confidence increased, and he successfully presented his ideas to a large audience. Laura said that practicing communication with friends or family not only builds fluency, but also strengthens self-confidence. I also want to tell you about Nathan, who works as a graphic designer. Nathan recently had a challenging client who kept requesting frequent design changes. He consulted his wife, Sophia, who suggested setting clear milestones and explaining the process politely to the client. Nathan followed her advice, and the client understood the workflow, resulting in a smoother process. Nathan learned that strategies for clear and respectful communication at home can be applied directly in professional contexts to improve collaboration and efficiency. Let's discuss another example about Rebecca, who works in the education sector. Rebecca noticed that her students often hesitated to speak during lessons. She reflected on how she communicates with her husband, Mark, and decided to implement encouragement and small rewards for participation. The students began to speak more confidently, and classroom engagement improved. Rebecca realized that techniques for fostering confidence in personal relationships can be adapted to professional teaching environments to achieve better results. I also want to share a story about Oliver, who works in customer service. He recently helped a client who was frustrated about a service issue. Oliver remained calm, listened attentively, and provided a clear solution. Later, he discussed the situation with his wife, Emily, to reflect on what worked well. Oliver said that discussing real-life experiences with a spouse or close friend helps improve communication skills and emotional intelligence, which are vital for professional success. Friendship also provides a safe space for practicing advanced English. My friend Anna shared that she often discusses current events with her friend Michael in English. These conversations help her practice new vocabulary, correct grammar, and develop fluent speaking skills. Hannah said that using English in real-life conversations with friends makes learning more natural than studying alone. Next, I want to share a story about Lucas, who works in finance. Lucas often faces high-pressure deadlines. He shared that his wife, Hannah, encouraged him to plan each day carefully and include short breaks to maintain focus. Lucas followed this advice, and his productivity improved significantly. He said that habits learned in personal life, such as time management and self-care, are directly transferable to professional environments. I also want to tell you about Sophia, who works in research. She was leading a team on a project that required careful data analysis. One day, an error in the data caused confusion. Sophia calmly discussed the issue with her team and reassigned tasks efficiently. After work, she reflected with her husband, Nathan, about what could be improved in future projects. Sophia said that reflecting on challenges with someone you trust helps develop problem-solving skills and improves performance at work. Family and friends also teach negotiation skills. My friend Henry shared that when he needed to discuss a raise at work, he practiced with his wife, Claire, role-playing different scenarios. This preparation helped him communicate confidently and achieve a positive outcome. Henry mentioned that practicing conversations with supportive people can make difficult professional interactions easier and more successful. I want to begin with a story about Jonathan, who works as an architect. Recently, Jonathan was assigned a project designing a community library. The client had very specific requirements, and Jonathan initially felt stressed. That evening, he discussed the project with his wife, Amelia, who suggested breaking down the requirements into small, achievable tasks. Jonathan implemented her advice and noticed that planning step by step reduced his stress and helped him meet the client's expectations. This shows how strategies shared by family members can directly improve performance at work. Next, I want to talk about Isabel, who works in public relations. Isabel was managing a campaign for a new product launch when several unforeseen problems arose. She immediately called a team meeting to discuss solutions, but the team felt uncertain and anxious. That evening, Isabel's husband, George, reminded her to focus on solutions instead of problems. Isabel followed this advice, approached the situation with a positive attitude, and guided her team to complete the campaign successfully. Her story highlights the value of emotional support and practical advice from a spouse in professional life. Friendship also teaches us valuable communication skills. My friend Lucas, who works in software development, shared a story about collaborating with a new team. He initially felt hesitant to share ideas because he did not know the team well. However, his friend Olivia suggested starting by asking questions and listening carefully before offering suggestions. Lucas applied this approach, and soon his contributions were recognized and valued. Lucas realized that practicing active listening and thoughtful responses in friendships helps build confidence for professional interactions. Let me tell you about Victoria, who works in healthcare administration. Victoria recently coordinated a program that required collaboration with several departments. She faced challenges when team members disagreed on scheduling. Her husband, Henry, suggested she organize a clear timetable with visual charts and assign responsibilities accordingly. Victoria applied this method, and the project moved forward efficiently. She said that organizing information clearly, a habit reinforced at home, helps reduce misunderstandings and improves productivity at work. Now, I want to share a story about Eleanor, a teacher. Eleanor often works with students who struggle with motivation. One week, she noticed several students seemed disengaged. She consulted her husband, Philip, about how to encourage them. Philip suggested giving small, meaningful rewards and acknowledging every effort. Eleanor implemented this approach, and the students became more attentive and engaged. She said that encouragement strategies used in family settings can be adapted to work environments to motivate others effectively. I also want to talk about Matthew, who works as a financial analyst. Matthew recently faced a situation where an important report had several errors. He felt pressured to correct it quickly. That evening, he discussed the situation with his wife, Sophie, who suggested dividing the corrections into smaller sections and checking each carefully. Following this advice, Matthew completed the report on time and with high accuracy. He realized that strategies for problem-solving and organization from home life can directly impact efficiency and performance at work. Friendship often helps us navigate professional challenges. My friend Clara told me about helping her colleague, Erin, prepare for a presentation. Erin was unsure how to structure the content for clarity and impact. Clara suggested creating a detailed outline, practicing aloud, and seeking feedback. Erin followed the advice, and the presentation was well received. Clara emphasized that practicing communication with friends improves confidence, clarity, and overall fluency in English. Let me share a story about Ethan, who works in marketing. Ethan was responsible for a product launch and had to present ideas to a senior management team. Initially, he felt nervous because the audience was very experienced. His wife Lily suggested focusing on key points and practicing speaking slowly and clearly. Ethan practiced each evening with her, and on the day of the presentation, he delivered his ideas confidently. This example shows how practice, even at home with family, can enhance professional communication skills. Now, I want to tell you about Sophia, a project coordinator. Sophia's team had to finish a complex project within a tight deadline. She was unsure how to motivate her team while managing her own workload. That night, she spoke with her husband, Lucas, who advised her to delegate tasks according to each team member's strengths. Sophia followed his advice, assigned tasks efficiently, and the project was completed on time. She said that lessons learned from managing household responsibilities can help in effective team management at work. Friendship also provides emotional support that improves professional performance. My friend Nathan shared that discussing challenges with his friend Anna helps him think of creative solutions. Nathan was struggling with organizing a large-scale event at work, and by explaining the problem to Anna, he gained new perspectives and approaches. He said that talking about problems openly with friends or family improves problem-solving skills and reduces stress. Let me tell you about Rebecca, a graphic designer. Rebecca recently had a client who requested multiple revisions in a short time. She felt stressed and unsure how to manage expectations. Her husband, Michael, suggested explaining clearly to the client how the revisions could be handled step by step. Rebecca followed this advice. The client understood, and the project progressed smoothly. She said that clear and respectful communication at home teaches skills that are very useful in professional contexts. I also want to share a story about Oliver, a software engineer. Oliver recently joined a new team and had to collaborate on a project with tight deadlines. Initially, he struggled to express his ideas clearly. His wife, Emily, suggested he write down key points before each meeting and practice explaining them aloud. Oliver followed this method and soon became an active contributor in team discussions. He realized that structured practice and support from family can significantly improve communication and confidence in professional life. Now, let's talk about Hannah, a research analyst. Hannah was working on a complex report and found several inconsistencies in the data. She discussed the problem with her husband, Daniel, who suggested checking one section at a time and verifying sources carefully. Hannah applied this approach and completed the report accurately and on time. She said that problem-solving skills learned in everyday life, like organizing tasks and careful checking, are highly valuable in professional settings. Friendship also encourages learning from experience. My friend Laura shared a story about helping her colleague, Peter, prepare for a client meeting. Peter was nervous and unsure how to present technical details clearly. Laura suggested simplifying key points and practicing explanations using examples. Peter applied this method, and the client understood the information perfectly. Laura said that practicing explanations with friends or family helps improve both clarity and confidence in English communication. Let me share a story about Lucas, who works in logistics. Lucas recently coordinated a delivery project involving multiple locations. He faced delays due to traffic and warehouse issues. Lucas applied a strategy his wife, Sophia, suggested, anticipating potential problems and creating a backup plan. By planning for obstacles, Lucas managed the project efficiently. He realized that lessons from home, such as preparation and foresight, can greatly improve professional performance. I also want to tell you about Emma, a teacher. Emma noticed some students were reluctant to participate in class discussions. She remembered strategies she uses at home with her husband, Lucas, asking open-ended questions and encouraging small contributions. Emma applied this approach in class, and the students became more active. She said that skills for encouraging participation and building confidence in family life can be directly adapted to teaching and leadership at work. Friendship also provides a platform for practicing English in realistic scenarios. My friend Anna often discusses workplace challenges and news events in English with her friend Michael. They practice advanced vocabulary and correct each other's mistakes. Anna said that these conversations make English practice engaging and relevant, and also improve fluency in professional communication. Now, let me share a story about Nathan, who works in project management. Nathan faced a situation where several tasks overlapped and deadlines were approaching. His wife, Hannah, suggested making a visual timeline to track progress and responsibilities. Nathan applied this method and successfully managed all tasks without missing deadlines. He realized that techniques for organization and time management learned at home are essential for professional success. I also want to tell you about Sophia, who works in a consulting firm. Sophia was coordinating a project with multiple clients and noticed confusion regarding priorities. She spoke with her husband, Lucas, who suggested clear written communication and regular updates. Sophia followed this advice, and the project ran smoothly. She said that communication strategies practiced in personal life are crucial for preventing misunderstandings at work. Finally, let me share a story about Henry, a marketing professional. Henry recently faced a situation where his team had conflicting opinions on a campaign approach. He applied a method he often uses with his wife, Amelia, listening carefully, acknowledging all perspectives, and then guiding the team toward a solution that incorporated everyone's input. The campaign was successful, and Henry learned that conflict resolution techniques from personal life can be directly applied to professional situations. I want to start by telling you about Andrew, who works as a civil engineer. Recently, he was tasked with supervising a construction site while also preparing a detailed report for management. At first, Andrew felt overwhelmed by the dual responsibility. That evening, he discussed the situation with his wife, Clara, who suggested he divide the day into blocks, dedicating specific hours to each task. Andrew followed this method and noticed a remarkable improvement in his efficiency. He realized that strategies for managing personal tasks learned through family life can be directly applied to professional challenges. Next, I want to share a story about Melissa, a marketing strategist. Melissa's team faced a situation where a campaign had to be adjusted due to unexpected client feedback. She was unsure how to keep her team motivated. That night, she spoke with her husband, Daniel, who advised her to focus on small, achievable milestones rather than the overall pressure. Melissa applied this method, and her team completed the project successfully and on time. She realized that practical advice from family can be invaluable in maintaining calm and focus in high-pressure work environments. Friendship also offers opportunities to develop professional skills. My friend Eleanor shared a story about helping her colleague, James, prepare for a presentation. James was nervous about addressing senior managers. Eleanor suggested that he practice explaining each point clearly, using simple examples. After a few practice sessions, James delivered his presentation confidently. Eleanor highlighted that practicing real-world scenarios with friends or family is a highly effective way to improve communication and confidence. Let's talk about Richard, a software developer. Richard recently joined a new project that required collaboration with international colleagues. At first, he struggled to communicate ideas clearly because of different working styles and time zones. His wife, Sophia, suggested using structured emails and clear bullet points to convey messages effectively. Richard applied this strategy, and communication improved significantly. He realized that methods learned from family life, like clarity and organization, are directly transferable to professional situations. Now, I want to share a story about Natalie, a school administrator. Natalie often faces multiple tasks at the same time and recently encountered a challenge where several deadlines coincided. She consulted her husband, Lucas, about prioritizing responsibilities. Lucas suggested she make a simple list with the most urgent tasks at the top. Natalie followed this method and completed all her duties efficiently. She discovered that prioritization and clear planning, often practiced in family life, are essential skills for professional success. Friendship can also teach emotional intelligence. My friend Oliver shared a story about supporting a colleague, Jessica, who was stressed about meeting tight deadlines. Oliver listened attentively, offered advice, and suggested breaking the work into manageable steps. Jessica followed this advice and felt more confident. Oliver realized that the skills of active listening, empathy, and providing constructive guidance, developed through friendships, are invaluable in both personal and professional life. Let me tell you about Sophia, a research analyst. Sophia was working on a report requiring collaboration with multiple departments, and there was a miscommunication about data sources. She consulted her husband, Ethan, who suggested she hold a short meeting with all stakeholders to clarify expectations. Sophia implemented this approach, and the team corrected the issues quickly. She observed that proactive communication skills practiced in personal life can prevent misunderstandings and improve teamwork at work. I also want to share a story about Henry, a marketing manager. Henry had to present a new strategy to senior leadership, and he felt nervous because the presentation was very important. That evening, he rehearsed with his wife, Clara, who gave feedback on tone, pacing, and clarity. On the day of the presentation, Henry delivered his ideas confidently, and his strategy was approved. He realized that practicing presentations at home, where feedback is honest and supportive, can significantly enhance professional communication skills. Now, let's discuss Emma, a project coordinator. Emma recently faced a situation where her team members disagreed on the approach for a complex project. She reflected on how she resolves disagreements at home with her husband, Lucas, and decided to apply the same principles. Listening first, acknowledging perspectives, and then proposing a collaborative solution. The team agreed on a clear plan and completed the project efficiently. Emma learned that conflict resolution strategies from family life can be applied effectively in professional contexts. Friendship also helps improve adaptability. My friend Laura shared a story about assisting her colleague, Nathan, who was tasked with managing an unexpected change in project scope. Laura advised Nathan to review the new requirements calmly, break them into smaller steps, and communicate the plan clearly to the team. Nathan followed her advice and managed the project successfully. Laura emphasized that adaptability skills, often developed in friendships or family discussions, are essential in dynamic work environments. I also want to tell you about Daniel, a teacher. Daniel recently noticed that some students were disengaged during lessons. He reflected on techniques he uses at home with his wife, Hannah, such as giving clear instructions, offering praise for effort, and creating small goals. Applying these methods in the classroom led to noticeable improvements in student participation and motivation. Daniel realized that strategies for encouraging engagement at home can be adapted to professional situations to create positive outcomes. Next, I want to share a story about Michael, a logistics coordinator. Michael was managing a project with tight deadlines and several unexpected delays. He discussed the situation with his wife, Sophia, who suggested creating a contingency plan with alternative solutions for potential obstacles. Michael applied this approach, and the project was completed on time. He learned that thinking ahead and planning for challenges, a habit often reinforced in family life, is invaluable in professional settings. Friendship also enhances problem-solving skills. My friend Anna shared a story about helping her colleague, Peter, prepare for a critical client meeting. Peter was unsure how to structure his points clearly. Anna suggested making a simple outline, practicing speaking, and seeking feedback. Peter successfully delivered the meeting presentation, and the client understood the proposals clearly. Anna said that practicing problem-solving and communication skills with friends or family builds confidence and fluency in English. Let me tell you about Rebecca, who works as a human resources manager. Rebecca recently had to mediate a conflict between two employees who disagreed on project priorities. She reflected on how she resolves minor disagreements with her husband, Michael, and decided to listen carefully, acknowledge each viewpoint, and propose a compromise that considered both sides. The employees were satisfied, and the project moved forward. Rebecca learned that conflict management skills used at home are highly effective in professional environments. I also want to share a story about Lucas, who works in finance. Lucas recently faced an urgent situation where multiple reports had to be completed simultaneously. His wife, Hannah, suggested dividing the work into smaller, manageable sections and checking each carefully. Lucas implemented this method and completed all reports on time without errors. He realized that systematic problem-solving and task management learned at home are directly applicable to professional challenges. Now, I want to talk about Sophia, who works as a teacher. Sophia was planning a school event, but faced several logistical challenges. She discussed the situation with her husband, Ethan, who suggested making a clear timeline and delegating specific responsibilities to team members. Sophia applied this plan, and the event was successful. She realized that organizational skills and delegation, often practiced at home with family, are essential in managing complex tasks professionally. Let me start with a story about Ethan, who works as an interior designer. Ethan was recently assigned a project to redesign an office space for a large company. He was concerned about balancing aesthetics with practicality, and the client had very specific demands. That evening, he discussed his approach with his wife, Amelia, who suggested visualizing each space step by step and focusing on small improvements rather than trying to perfect everything at once. Ethan implemented her advice, and over the next few days, he noticed that the workflow became smoother and the client was happier with the updates. This story demonstrates how strategies from personal discussions can significantly enhance professional problem solving. Next, I want to share a story about Sophia, who works in a technology consultancy. Sophia's team was struggling with coordinating schedules across multiple time zones for an important virtual meeting. She spoke with her husband, Lucas, who suggested preparing a shared calendar with all critical deadlines and confirming availability in advance. Sophia applied this approach, and the meeting ran flawlessly. She realized that planning and communication strategies practiced at home with family can be applied directly to manage complex professional tasks efficiently. Friendship also provides a platform for skill development. My friend Nathan shared a story about helping his colleague, Olivia, practice a client pitch. Olivia was nervous about explaining complex data in a simple way. Nathan suggested practicing aloud, using everyday examples, and receiving constructive feedback. Olivia followed this advice and delivered the pitch confidently, impressing the client. Nathan highlighted that practicing English and communication skills with friends or family builds confidence, clarity, and fluency in real-world situations. Now, let's discuss Rebecca, a healthcare administrator. Rebecca recently faced a challenge when several teams had conflicting schedules for patient consultations. She spoke with her husband, Michael, about organizing the tasks. Michael suggested creating a timetable that prioritized urgent cases first, while leaving flexibility for unforeseen issues. Rebecca applied this strategy, and the scheduling issues were resolved efficiently. She realized that problem-solving and organizational strategies from home are directly transferable to professional environments where planning and coordination are crucial. Let me tell you about Lucas, who works as a sales executive. Lucas recently had a meeting with a potential client who had very specific requirements for a contract. Lucas felt nervous, but remembered advice from his wife, Hannah. Listen carefully to the client's needs before responding, clarify doubts politely, and propose solutions that match their priorities. Lucas applied this approach, and the client appreciated his attentive communication and signed the contract. He realized that active listening and empathy, practiced in personal relationships, are powerful skills in professional interactions. Friendship also helps improve professional creativity. My friend Anna shared a story about brainstorming ideas for a marketing campaign with her colleague, Peter. Peter was stuck on creative ideas for a limited budget. Anna suggested listing all possible options, even unconventional ones, and then evaluating feasibility. Peter applied this strategy and developed an innovative plan that exceeded expectations. Anna highlighted that discussing problems with friends or colleagues helps generate fresh ideas and improves creative thinking in professional settings. I also want to share a story about Hannah, a research coordinator. Hannah was supervising a complex project involving data analysis from multiple sources. She encountered inconsistencies that delayed progress. She discussed the situation with her husband, Daniel, who suggested reviewing the data systematically, verifying each entry step by step, and documenting corrections. Hannah implemented this method and completed the project efficiently. She learned that structured problem-solving techniques used at home can significantly enhance professional performance. Next, I want to talk about Michael, a software engineer. Michael recently faced a sudden system crash on a project that had a critical deadline. He felt stressed, but applied advice from his wife, Sophie, who suggested breaking down the problem, prioritizing urgent fixes first, and communicating clearly with the team. Michael followed this method, fixed the issues, and completed the project on time. He realized that analytical thinking and methodical approaches learned in personal life are invaluable for handling professional emergencies. Friendship also teaches resilience. My friend Oliver shared a story about assisting a colleague, Clara, who was disappointed after receiving negative feedback on a presentation. Oliver suggested that she review the feedback objectively, identify areas for improvement, and practice again. Clara applied this advice, and her next presentation was much stronger. Oliver emphasized that learning to handle setbacks and improving performance through support from friends or family strengthens professional competence. Let me tell you about Emily, a teacher. Emily noticed that some students were struggling with group activities. She reflected on strategies she uses at home with her husband, Lucas, such as dividing tasks based on strengths, encouraging participation, and celebrating small achievements. Emily applied these strategies in the classroom, and student engagement increased significantly. She realized that techniques for motivating others in personal life can be directly applied to professional teaching and leadership scenarios. I also want to share a story about Daniel, who works in logistics. Daniel was responsible for coordinating shipments for multiple clients simultaneously. Unexpected delays created stress and confusion. He discussed the situation with his wife, Clara, who suggested creating a contingency plan with alternative delivery options and communicating clearly with clients. Daniel applied this approach and successfully managed all shipments on time. He learned that planning ahead and thinking proactively, habits developed in family life, are essential in professional work. Friendship enhances practical problem-solving skills. My friend Anna shared a story about helping her colleague, Nathan, troubleshoot a technical issue before a client meeting. Nathan was unsure how to explain the solution clearly. Anna suggested using simple, relatable examples and practicing the explanation aloud. Nathan applied this approach, and the client understood the solution perfectly. Anna highlighted that practicing communication with friends or family is an effective way to build confidence and fluency in professional English. Let me tell you about Lucas, a finance manager. Lucas recently had to prepare multiple financial reports within a short time frame. He was initially overwhelmed, but remembered advice from his wife, Sophia. Divide tasks into smaller, manageable steps, and review each step carefully before moving on. Lucas applied this method, completed all reports on time, and achieved high accuracy. He realized that systematic problem-solving and time management skills practiced at home are crucial for professional success. Now, I want to share a story about Rebecca, who works in marketing. Rebecca was managing a campaign with input from multiple stakeholders. Conflicting ideas made it difficult to finalize decisions. She discussed the issue with her husband, Michael, who suggested creating a decision matrix to weigh each option against key goals. Rebecca applied this method and made informed choices that satisfied all parties. She learned that analytical decision-making techniques from personal life can significantly improve professional outcomes. Friendship can also enhance negotiation skills. My friend Henry shared a story about preparing a contract discussion with a client. He practiced different approaches with his friend Clara, exploring how to address potential objections politely and confidently. During the real meeting, Henry applied these strategies, and the negotiation was successful. He realized that rehearsing challenging situations with friends or family builds confidence and prepares you for real-world professional interactions. Let me tell you about Sophia, a project manager. Sophia recently managed a large cross-departmental project where conflicting opinions threatened progress. She reflected on strategies she uses with her husband, Ethan, such as listening carefully, acknowledging concerns, and proposing compromises. Sophia applied these strategies, and the team reached consensus efficiently. She realized that conflict resolution techniques from personal life are invaluable in professional environments. I also want to share a story about Matthew, a software developer. Matthew was leading a project where sudden changes in client requirements caused confusion among team members. He discussed the issue with his wife, Sophie, who suggested holding a short briefing session to clarify updates and assign responsibilities clearly. Matthew applied this approach, and the team adapted quickly. He learned that clear communication and adaptability, practiced at home, are essential skills in fast-paced professional settings. Next, I want to talk about Emma, a teacher. Emma was planning a school trip, but faced challenges with scheduling and permissions. She discussed solutions with her husband, Lucas, who suggested making a checklist of all required tasks and setting deadlines for each. Emma followed this plan, and the trip was organized smoothly. She realized that skills for planning and task management in family life can be directly applied to professional projects. Let me start with a story about Aaron, who works as a software consultant. Recently, Aaron was asked to troubleshoot a complex system for a client while simultaneously preparing a report for his management team. He felt stressed because both tasks were equally urgent. That evening, he discussed his approach with his wife, Clara, who suggested prioritizing the tasks based on urgency and complexity, tackling the hardest parts first and then reviewing the easier ones. Aaron implemented her advice, and by the end of the week, he had completed both tasks efficiently. This story shows that prioritization and strategic planning, skills often reinforced at home, can be directly applied in professional situations. Next, I want to share a story about Isabel, who works in marketing analytics. Isabel's team was preparing a report for a new client, but data discrepancies caused delays. She consulted her husband, Daniel, who suggested verifying each section of the report step by step, instead of trying to fix everything at once. Isabel applied this approach, and the report was finalized without further errors. She realized that methodical problem-solving techniques used in personal life are highly effective for professional work. Friendship also helps develop emotional intelligence. My friend Lucas shared a story about supporting a colleague, Sophia, who was frustrated with a project delay. Lucas suggested acknowledging her feelings and then brainstorming potential solutions together. Sophia followed this approach and felt much calmer, which helped the team progress. Lucas highlighted that skills in empathy, listening, and constructive problem-solving, often practiced with friends and family, are essential in professional settings. Let's talk about Eleanor, a teacher. Eleanor noticed that students were struggling to complete group projects on time. She reflected on strategies she uses with her husband, Philip, such as dividing responsibilities clearly and setting small deadlines for each step. Applying these methods, the students became more organized and completed projects successfully. Eleanor realized that techniques for organization and time management from personal life can enhance professional effectiveness, especially when coordinating teams. I also want to tell you about Michael, a logistics coordinator. Michael recently faced multiple shipment delays due to traffic and supplier issues. He discussed the problem with his wife, Sophia, who suggested creating a backup plan with alternative routes and contingency suppliers. Michael applied this method, and all shipments were delivered on time. He realized that proactive planning and anticipating problems, a habit learned at home, are invaluable for managing professional responsibilities. Friendship also improves creative problem solving. My friend Anna shared a story about helping her colleague, Peter, develop a marketing plan for a low-budget campaign. Peter was unsure how to generate innovative ideas under constraints. Anna suggested listing all possibilities, evaluating feasibility, and combining unconventional ideas. Peter applied this approach, and the campaign exceeded expectations. Anna emphasized that discussing challenges with friends or family stimulates creativity and improves practical solutions. Let me tell you about Lucas, a financial analyst. Lucas recently needed to prepare several reports simultaneously under a tight deadline. He initially felt overwhelmed, but remembered advice from his wife, Hannah. Break down tasks into small steps, focus on one task at a time, and review carefully. Lucas applied this approach and completed all reports on time with high accuracy. He realized that systematic task management, practiced in family life, is essential for professional efficiency. Next, I want to share a story about Sophia, a project manager. Sophia faced a situation where her team was divided over project priorities. She reflected on how she resolves disagreements at home with her husband, Ethan, by listening first, summarizing key points, and suggesting compromises. Sophia applied this method at work, and the team agreed on a clear plan. She learned that conflict resolution strategies from personal life are critical in professional collaboration. Friendship also improves communication skills. My friend Nathan shared a story about rehearsing a client pitch with his colleague, Olivia. Olivia was nervous about explaining technical data in a clear way. Nathan suggested simplifying the points, practicing aloud, and receiving feedback. Olivia applied this advice, and the client fully understood the proposals. Nathan emphasized that practicing communication with friends or family strengthens confidence and clarity in professional English. I also want to share a story about Emma, a research analyst. Emma was coordinating multiple studies and noticed inconsistencies in data. She discussed the problem with her husband, Lucas, who suggested creating a checklist for each study and reviewing each step systematically. Emma applied this method and completed the work accurately and on time. She realized that structured problem solving and attention to detail learned at home are directly transferable to professional responsibilities. Now, I want to tell you about Henry, a marketing manager. Henry was managing a campaign with input from several departments. Conflicting opinions made it hard to finalize decisions. He applied strategies he uses with his wife, Clara, such as listening carefully, summarizing the points, and proposing a solution that considered everyone's ideas. The campaign proceeded smoothly, and all teams were satisfied. Henry realized that conflict resolution and collaborative decision-making skills learned in personal life are essential for professional success. Friendship also helps with adaptability. My friend Anna shared a story about assisting her colleague, Nathan, when an unexpected change in a project required rapid adjustments. Anna suggested reviewing the new requirements calmly, breaking them into smaller tasks, and communicating clearly with the team. Nathan applied this approach, and the project proceeded without delays. Anna emphasized that adaptability skills practiced with friends or family are critical in dynamic work environments. Let me tell you about Matthew, a teacher. Matthew noticed that some students were hesitant to participate in classroom discussions. He reflected on strategies he uses at home with his wife, Sophie, such as encouraging small contributions, praising efforts, and creating clear goals. Applying these techniques in class increased student participation significantly. Matthew realized that encouraging engagement in personal life can directly improve professional teaching and leadership skills. I also want to share a story about Daniel, a logistics coordinator. Daniel was managing a project with several unforeseen challenges, including supplier delays and traffic issues. He discussed potential solutions with his wife, Clara, who suggested creating a contingency plan and communicating changes promptly to all stakeholders. Daniel applied this approach, and the project was completed successfully. He realized that planning ahead and proactive problem-solving learned at home are essential in professional settings. Friendship also encourages reflective thinking. My friend Laura shared a story about reviewing a complex work project with her colleague Peter. Peter was unsure what caused the previous project to fail. Laura suggested mapping out each step, identifying mistakes, and planning improvements for the next project. Peter applied these reflections in future work, which was far more successful. Laura emphasized that reflective learning, practiced with friends or family, strengthens problem-solving skills and professional growth. Let me tell you about Nathan, a research analyst. Nathan was coordinating multiple studies simultaneously and noticed discrepancies in the results. He discussed the issue with his wife, Hannah, who suggested implementing a standard checklist for data verification and documenting each step carefully. Nathan applied this method, and all studies were completed accurately and on time. He realized that systematic quality control and organization learned in personal life are critical for professional success. Let me start with a story about Oliver, who works as a civil engineer. Recently, Oliver was assigned a project to renovate an old office building, while also preparing a compliance report for city authorities. At first, he felt stressed because both tasks required significant attention. That evening, he discussed the situation with his wife, Sophie, who suggested tackling the most urgent task first and breaking the work into manageable sections. Oliver followed her advice and completed the renovation planning efficiently, and the report was submitted on time. He realized that organizing work strategically, a skill often reinforced at home, can significantly reduce professional stress. Next, I want to share a story about Emily, who works in financial consulting. Emily's team was preparing a client report, but several data inconsistencies caused delays. She spoke with her husband, Lucas, who suggested cross-checking each section step by step and documenting all corrections. Emily applied this approach and finished the report without any further errors. She realized that thoroughness and structured problem-solving, practiced in personal life, are invaluable in professional tasks. Friendship also contributes to developing leadership skills. My friend Nathan shared a story about mentoring a colleague, Clara, who was struggling to manage her first project. Nathan suggested guiding her through planning steps, delegating responsibilities, and reviewing progress regularly. Clara followed this advice and successfully completed her project. Nathan highlighted that mentoring and teamwork skills gained through interactions with friends or family are essential in professional environments. Let's discuss Rebecca, a teacher. Rebecca recently noticed that students were not participating in class discussions. She reflected on strategies she uses at home with her husband, Michael, like setting small goals, encouraging contributions, and providing positive reinforcement. Applying these strategies in the classroom increased student engagement significantly. Rebecca realized that methods for motivating and supporting others in personal life can directly enhance professional leadership and teaching effectiveness. I also want to tell you about Matthew, a logistics supervisor. Matthew was managing a large shipment project when unexpected delays occurred due to supplier issues. He discussed possible solutions with his wife, Clara, who suggested creating backup plans and communicating alternative options to clients promptly. Matthew applied this approach, and the project was completed successfully. He realized that proactive problem-solving and clear communication, skills honed at home, are crucial in professional work. Friendship also develops strategic thinking. My friend Anna shared a story about helping her colleague, Peter, plan a marketing campaign under a tight budget. Peter was unsure how to balance creativity with feasibility. Anna suggested listing all possible ideas, evaluating them for practicality, and combining the best concepts. Peter followed this method, and the campaign exceeded expectations. Anna emphasized that discussing challenges with friends or family stimulates creative thinking and strengthens practical decision-making. Let me tell you about Lucas, a financial analyst. Lucas was required to prepare multiple reports simultaneously under tight deadlines. Initially, he felt overwhelmed, but he remembered advice from his wife, Hannah. Break tasks into smaller, manageable steps, focus on one at a time, and review each thoroughly. Lucas applied this approach and completed all reports on time with high accuracy. He realized that structured task management, often practiced at home, is essential for professional efficiency. Next, I want to share a story about Sophia, a project coordinator. Sophia faced a situation where her team had conflicting opinions on project priorities. She reflected on how she resolves disagreements at home with her husband, Ethan, by listening carefully, summarizing key points, and suggesting compromises. Sophia applied these strategies at work, and the team agreed on a clear action plan. She realized that conflict resolution skills learned in personal life are directly applicable to professional collaboration. Friendship also helps improve communication skills. My friend Nathan shared a story about preparing a technical presentation with his colleague, Olivia. Olivia was nervous about simplifying complex data for the audience. Nathan suggested breaking the information into clear points, using relatable examples, and practicing aloud. Olivia followed this advice and delivered a confident presentation. Nathan highlighted that practicing communication with friends or family strengthens clarity, confidence, and fluency in professional English. I also want to share a story about Emma, a research analyst. Emma was managing several studies and noticed inconsistencies in the data. She consulted her husband, Lucas, who suggested creating a standard checklist for verification and reviewing each entry systematically. Emma applied this method, and the work was completed accurately and on time. She realized that structured planning, attention to detail, and systematic problem-solving practiced at home are directly transferable to professional responsibilities. Let me tell you about Henry, a marketing manager. Henry was managing a campaign involving several departments, and conflicting ideas made it difficult to reach a decision. He applied strategies he uses with his wife, Clara, such as listening carefully to everyone, summarizing key points, and proposing a compromise that balanced all concerns. Henry applied this method at work, and the campaign proceeded smoothly with team consensus. He realized that collaborative problem-solving and conflict management skills learned in personal life are essential in professional settings. Friendship also strengthens adaptability. My friend Anna shared a story about assisting her colleague, Nathan, when a project scope suddenly changed. Anna suggested reviewing the new requirements calmly, dividing them into smaller tasks, and communicating clearly with the team. Nathan applied this method, and the project continued without disruption. Anna emphasized that adaptability and calm problem-solving, practiced with friends or family, are critical in dynamic professional environments. Let me tell you about Matthew, a teacher. Matthew noticed that some students were hesitant to participate in lessons. He reflected on strategies he uses at home with his wife, Sophie, such as creating small tasks, praising effort, and establishing clear objectives. Applying these strategies in class increased student engagement. Matthew realized that encouraging participation and providing structured guidance in personal life can enhance professional teaching and leadership skills. I also want to share a story about Daniel, a logistics manager. Daniel was coordinating a complex project when several unexpected challenges occurred, including supplier delays and equipment issues. He discussed solutions with his wife, Clara, who suggested creating backup plans and keeping communication transparent with all stakeholders. Daniel applied this strategy, and the project was completed successfully. He realized that foresight, proactive planning, and clear communication practiced at home are invaluable in professional work. Friendship also encourages reflective learning. My friend Laura shared a story about reviewing a challenging project with her colleague, Peter. Peter was unsure why the project failed initially. Laura suggested examining the sequence of events, identifying mistakes, and planning improvements for the future. Peter applied these reflections, and subsequent projects were far more successful. Laura emphasized that reflective thinking, practiced with friends or family, strengthens professional problem-solving and performance. Let me tell you about Nathan, a research analyst. Nathan coordinated multiple studies simultaneously and noticed inconsistencies in results. He discussed the situation with his wife, Hannah, who suggested creating a verification checklist and documenting each step clearly. Nathan applied this method, and all studies were completed accurately and on schedule. He realized that methodical planning and quality control, learned in personal life, are essential for professional success. Next, I want to share a story about Rebecca, a marketing strategist. Rebecca's team faced disagreements about campaign strategies with deadlines approaching. She reflected on strategies she uses with her husband, Michael, such as listening carefully, summarizing points, and proposing compromises. Rebecca applied these strategies at work, and the campaign proceeded efficiently. She realized that conflict management and collaborative decision-making skills learned at home are essential in professional environments. I also want to tell you about Oliver, a software engineer. Oliver's team encountered sudden changes in project requirements. He discussed strategies with his wife, Emily, who suggested creating a clear timeline, prioritizing tasks, and keeping open communication with the team. Oliver applied these strategies, and the project was completed successfully. He learned that prioritization, structured planning, and transparent Let me start with a story about Ethan, who works as an urban planner. Ethan was recently tasked with designing a public park that would serve as a community space while also considering environmental sustainability. He felt overwhelmed by the scope of the project. That evening, he discussed ideas with his wife, Amelia, who suggested breaking the project into phases, assessing the land, consulting local residents, and prioritizing eco-friendly materials. Ethan applied this approach, and the park design progressed smoothly. He realized that planning complex tasks step by step, a habit developed at home, can make professional challenges manageable. Next, I want to share a story about Sophie, who works in public relations. Sophie was coordinating multiple press releases and noticed inconsistencies in the messaging. She spoke with her husband, Lucas, who suggested reviewing one release at a time, ensuring clarity and aligning each with the overall brand message. Sophie applied this method, and the releases were approved without errors. She realized that attention to detail and systematic review, skills practiced at home, are vital in professional work. Friendship also supports professional growth through mentorship. My friend Nathan shared a story about guiding his colleague, Clara, who was new to project management. Nathan suggested teaching her to set achievable goals, monitor progress, and provide feedback. Clara implemented these strategies and successfully completed her first project. Nathan emphasized that mentoring and teamwork skills learned through friendships and family interactions are essential for career development. Let's talk about Rebecca, a teacher. Rebecca observed that students were struggling with group assignments. She reflected on strategies she uses at home with her husband, Michael, such as dividing tasks based on strengths, establishing deadlines, and celebrating small successes. Implementing these strategies in the classroom increased student engagement and collaboration. Rebecca realized that organizing and motivating others at home translates directly into professional leadership and teaching success. I also want to tell you about Matthew, a supply chain manager. Matthew was managing multiple shipments when unexpected delays occurred due to supplier issues. He consulted his wife, Clara, who suggested identifying critical shipments, creating contingency plans, and communicating clearly with clients. Matthew applied these suggestions, and all shipments arrived on time. He realized that proactive planning and problem solving, learned in personal life, are indispensable in professional responsibilities. Friendship also enhances creative thinking. My friend Anna shared a story about helping her colleague, Peter, brainstorm ideas for a limited budget advertising campaign. Peter was unsure how to create innovative solutions under constraints. Anna suggested listing all ideas, evaluating their practicality, and combining the best options. Peter applied this strategy, and the campaign exceeded expectations. Anna highlighted that brainstorming with friends or family encourages creativity and improves decision-making. Let me tell you about Lucas, a financial analyst. Lucas had multiple reports due within a short time frame and felt overwhelmed. He remembered advice from his wife, Hannah. Divide the work into smaller steps, focus on one task at a time, and check each step carefully. Lucas applied this approach and completed all reports accurately and on time. He realized that systematic time management and task prioritization practiced at home are essential for professional efficiency. Next, I want to share a story about Sophia, a project manager. Sophia was coordinating a project where team members disagreed on priorities. She reflected on methods she uses with her husband, Ethan, such as listening carefully, summarizing the main concerns, and suggesting compromises. Sophia applied these techniques at work, and the team agreed on a clear plan. She realized that conflict resolution skills practiced in personal life are invaluable in professional collaboration. Friendship also strengthens communication skills. My friend Nathan shared a story about preparing a client presentation with his colleague, Olivia. Olivia was nervous about explaining technical concepts in simple terms. Nathan suggested breaking down complex information, using relatable examples, and practicing delivery aloud. Olivia applied this approach, and the client fully understood the solutions. Nathan emphasized that practicing communication with friends or family enhances confidence and clarity in professional English. I also want to share a story about Emma, a data analyst. Emma was managing multiple research projects and found inconsistencies in the results. She discussed strategies with her husband, Lucas, who suggested creating a detailed checklist for verifying data and documenting each step carefully. Emma applied this method, and all projects were completed accurately and on time. She realized that methodical organization and attention to detail, practiced in personal life, are directly applicable to professional tasks. Let me tell you about Henry, a marketing coordinator. Henry was leading a campaign involving input from several departments, which caused disagreements and slowed progress. He applied strategies he uses with his wife, Clara. Listen carefully, summarize key points, and propose a fair compromise. Henry applied these strategies at work, and the campaign proceeded efficiently with team agreement. He realized that collaborative decision-making and conflict management skills learned in personal life are essential in professional success. Friendship also develops adaptability. My friend Anna shared a story about assisting her colleague, Nathan, when a project suddenly required new objectives. Anna suggested calmly reviewing the changes, breaking them into smaller tasks, and clearly communicating with the team. Nathan applied this method, and the project continued smoothly. Anna emphasized that adaptability and calm problem-solving, practiced with friends or family, are crucial in dynamic professional environments. Let me tell you about Matthew, a teacher. Matthew noticed some students were reluctant to participate in lessons. He reflected on strategies he uses at home with his wife, Sophie, such as creating manageable tasks, giving praise for effort, and setting clear expectations. Applying these strategies in the classroom increased student participation and confidence. Matthew realized that encouraging engagement at home translates into effective professional teaching and leadership. I also want to share a story about Daniel, a logistics manager. Daniel was overseeing a complex project when unexpected challenges arose, including delays from suppliers and equipment issues. He discussed solutions with his wife, Clara, who suggested preparing alternative plans and maintaining clear communication with all stakeholders. Daniel applied this strategy, and the project was completed successfully. He realized that proactive planning, foresight, and transparent communication, skills developed at home, are invaluable professionally. Friendship also encourages reflective learning. My friend Laura shared a story about reviewing a challenging project with her colleague, Peter. Peter was uncertain about why the previous project had difficulties. Laura suggested mapping out each step, identifying mistakes, and planning improvements for future projects. Peter applied these reflections, and subsequent work was more successful. Laura highlighted that reflective thinking practiced with friends or family strengthens professional problem-solving and growth. Let me tell you about Nathan, a research analyst. Nathan coordinated several studies simultaneously and noticed inconsistencies in data interpretation. He discussed the issue with his wife, Hannah, who suggested using a verification checklist and documenting each step clearly. Nathan applied this method, and all studies were completed accurately and on schedule. He realized that structured planning and quality control, learned in personal life, are critical for professional excellence. Next, I want to share a story about Rebecca, a marketing strategist. Rebecca's team had conflicting opinions on campaign priorities with a tight deadline approaching. She reflected on strategies she uses with her husband, Michael, such as listening attentively, summarizing points, and proposing compromises. Rebecca applied these strategies at work, and the campaign progressed smoothly. She realized that conflict management and collaboration skills practiced at home are directly transferable to professional success. I also want to tell you about Oliver, a software engineer. Oliver's team faced sudden changes in project requirements. He discussed strategies with his wife, Emily, who suggested prioritizing urgent tasks, creating a timeline, and keeping open communication with the team. Oliver applied this approach, and the project was completed successfully. He learned that prioritization, structured planning, and communication skills practiced at home are essential in professional work. Friendship also improves strategic thinking. My friend Anna shared a story about helping her colleague, Peter, prepare for a technical client presentation. Peter was unsure how to simplify complex concepts. Anna suggested focusing on key points, using clear examples, and rehearsing potential questions. Peter applied this method and delivered a confident, clear presentation. Anna emphasized that strategic thinking and preparation with friends or family enhance professional performance and self-assurance. Let me start with a story about Eleanor, an architect. Eleanor was asked to redesign a community center that had structural and accessibility issues. She felt the project was too large to manage alone. That evening, she discussed possible approaches with her husband, Philip, who suggested breaking the project into manageable phases: structural assessment, design proposals, and community feedback. Eleanor followed this advice and completed the redesign efficiently, ensuring that both accessibility and aesthetic standards were met. She realized that breaking large problems into smaller tasks, a strategy often used at home, is critical for professional success. Next, I want to share a story about Isabel, who works in corporate communications. Isabel's team was preparing content for a high-profile campaign, but inconsistencies in tone created confusion. She spoke with her husband, Daniel, who suggested reviewing each message individually, ensuring consistency, and maintaining a clear brand voice throughout. Isabel applied this approach, and the campaign was approved without revisions. She realized that attention to detail and systematic checking, skills reinforced at home, are vital in professional work. Friendship also develops leadership skills. My friend Nathan shared a story about mentoring a colleague, Clara, who struggled with delegating responsibilities. Nathan suggested guiding her on assigning tasks based on team members' strengths, monitoring progress, and providing constructive feedback. Clara implemented these strategies and successfully led her project. Nathan emphasized that mentoring and collaboration skills gained through friendships or family interactions are essential for career growth. Let's discuss Rebecca, a teacher. Rebecca noticed that students were hesitant to speak during lessons. She reflected on strategies she uses at home with her husband, Michael, such as setting clear expectations, encouraging participation through small tasks, and praising effort. Applying these strategies in the classroom increased student engagement and confidence. Rebecca realized that motivational strategies and clear communication practiced at home translate directly into professional teaching and leadership. I also want to tell you about Matthew, a supply chain manager. Matthew faced multiple shipping delays caused by supplier issues. He discussed potential solutions with his wife, Clara, who suggested prioritizing the most urgent shipments, preparing contingency plans, and communicating alternative timelines to clients. Matthew applied these strategies, and all shipments were delivered on time. He realized that problem-solving, prioritization, and effective communication practiced in personal life are crucial in professional tasks. Friendship also strengthens creativity. My friend Anna shared a story about helping her colleague, Peter, develop a creative marketing campaign under a strict budget. Peter was uncertain how to generate unique ideas without overspending. Anna suggested brainstorming all possibilities, evaluating feasibility, and combining the most effective concepts. Peter implemented this approach, and the campaign was very successful. Anna highlighted that brainstorming with friends or family stimulates creativity and improves professional problem-solving. Let me tell you about Lucas, a financial analyst. Lucas had multiple deadlines for reports and initially felt overwhelmed. He remembered advice from his wife, Hannah. Break tasks into smaller steps, focus on one report at a time, and review each carefully. Lucas applied this approach, completing all reports accurately and on schedule. He realized that time management and task prioritization skills developed at home are directly applicable in professional settings. Next, I want to share a story about Sophia, a project manager. Sophia's team was divided over which tasks to prioritize, causing delays. She reflected on methods she uses at home with her husband, Ethan, such as listening attentively, summarizing concerns, and suggesting compromises that consider everyone's input. Sophia applied this approach at work, and the team agreed on a clear plan. She realized that conflict resolution skills used in personal life are invaluable for professional collaboration. Friendship also improves communication skills. My friend Nathan shared a story about assisting his colleague, Olivia, in preparing a presentation for a technical client. Olivia struggled to explain complex data in a simple way. Nathan suggested breaking information into clear points, using relatable examples, and rehearsing delivery aloud. Olivia applied this approach, and the client fully understood the solutions. Nathan emphasized that practicing communication with friends or family builds clarity and confidence in professional English. I also want to share a story about Emma, a research analyst. Emma was managing multiple studies and noticed inconsistencies in data interpretation. She consulted her husband, Lucas, who suggested creating a checklist for verification and documenting each step carefully. Emma applied this method, and all studies were completed accurately and on time. She realized that systematic planning and attention to detail, learned at home, are critical for professional efficiency. Let me tell you about Henry, a marketing coordinator. Henry managed a campaign involving input from several departments, which caused disagreements and slowed progress. He applied strategies he uses with his wife, Clara. Listen carefully, summarize key points, and propose compromises. Henry applied this method at work, and the campaign proceeded efficiently with team consensus. He realized that collaborative decision-making and conflict management skills learned at home are essential in professional settings. Friendship also develops adaptability. My friend Anna shared a story about assisting her colleague Nathan when project objectives suddenly changed. Anna suggested reviewing the new requirements calmly, breaking them into smaller tasks, and communicating clearly with the team. Nathan applied this method, and the project continued smoothly. Anna emphasized that adaptability and problem-solving practiced with friends or family are crucial in dynamic professional environments. Let me tell you about Matthew, a teacher. Matthew noticed some students were hesitant to participate in discussions. He reflected on strategies he uses at home with his wife, Sophie, such as creating achievable tasks, praising effort, and establishing clear expectations. Applying these strategies in class improves student participation and confidence. Matthew realized that motivational strategies used in personal life translate directly into professional teaching and leadership. I also want to share a story about Daniel, a logistics manager. Daniel was overseeing a complex project when multiple unexpected challenges arose, including supplier delays and equipment malfunctions. He discussed solutions with his wife, Clara, who suggested preparing alternative plans and maintaining clear communication with all stakeholders. Daniel applied these strategies, and the project was completed successfully. He realized that proactive planning, foresight, and clear communication, skills honed at home, are indispensable professionally. Friendship also encourages reflective thinking. My friend Laura shared a story about reviewing a complex project with her colleague, Peter. Peter was unsure why the previous project had difficulties. Laura suggested mapping out every step, identifying errors, and planning improvements for future projects. Peter applied these reflections, and subsequent work was more successful. Laura emphasized that reflective thinking, practiced with friends or family, strengthens professional problem-solving and growth. Let me tell you about Nathan, a research analyst. Nathan coordinated several studies simultaneously and noticed discrepancies in data interpretation. He consulted his wife, Hannah, who suggested creating a verification checklist and documenting each step thoroughly. Nathan applied this method, and all studies were completed accurately and on schedule. He realized that structured planning and quality control developed at home are essential for professional success. Next, I want to share a story about Rebecca, a marketing strategist. Rebecca's team had conflicting opinions about campaign priorities with a tight deadline approaching. She reflected on strategies she uses with her husband, Michael, such as listening attentively, summarizing points, and suggesting compromises. Rebecca applied these methods at work, and the campaign proceeded efficiently. She realized that collaboration and conflict management skills developed in personal life are directly transferable to professional situations. I also want to tell you about Oliver, a software engineer. Oliver's team encountered unexpected project changes that required rapid adaptation. He consulted his wife, Emily, who suggested prioritizing urgent tasks, creating a clear timeline, and maintaining open communication with the team. Oliver applied these strategies, and the project was completed successfully. He learned that prioritization, structured planning, and transparent communication, skills reinforced at home, are essential for professional work. Friendship also improves strategic thinking. My friend Anna shared a story about helping her colleague, Peter, prepare for a technical client presentation. Peter was unsure how to explain complex concepts clearly. Anna suggested focusing on key points, using visual examples, and practicing answers to potential questions. Peter applied these methods and delivered a confident, clear presentation. Anna emphasized that strategic thinking and preparation, practiced with friends or family, enhance professional performance and self-confidence.